Alrighty, hello everybody. Today I'm doing something that I've never done before. Today we're going to be trying out the Godot engine. I've been hearing a lot about it, and so we're going to see if we can do something interesting. Gonna try it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little bit iffy on the whole thing, but yeah, maybe we'll like it. So we're gonna be trying to make a game in Godot today. Anyway. Before I get started on what we're doing today, Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. The demo is going to be out in the near future. So wishlist it. You'll be notified when the demo goes live. Yeah, I would appreciate that. And again, the game is going to release later this year. So we're getting to the final stages of the game. And I only have a couple of big items left to do. So it's feeling good. We're getting down to the last bit of work here, and then it's just content. I mean, I don't really consider content as like work necessarily. Like there's things that have to be done for the release to make the game functional and, you know, have a high degree of polish and everything. And then content like is stuff that I can add at any point. You know, I can add content post-release, I can add content in the weeks leading up to release. Content is just one of those things where it's, you know, it's content, but in terms of the good functioning of the game, there's only a handful of things left to do, which is great. If you want to support the game's development as we approach the release date, you could subscribe on Patreon. If you subscribe to the sponsor tier here for at least 1 month, I will send you a Steam key for the full game when it releases, and your name will be put in the Alchemortis credits. This is obviously going to go away right around the time of release, probably sometime before the release, so you'll have to subscribe before the game releases to get either of those perks. And also, I've got my Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. Check those out. Those are all the ways you could support. And yeah, we'll get started. Hello, David. Welcome. Good to see you. Chris, welcome back. Hello, Helkios Games. Welcome. Budget Jim, good to see you. Ads hit right as you started. That's okay. I mean, the ads are just overlapping ads anyway, so you didn't miss anything. All right, so before I get into what I want to work on today, I'll show you the unlock tree rework here. So I was talking yesterday about wanting to do a tier system for the unlocks, and we got that basically implemented, but I wasn't really liking the presentation of it, and I did want to reuse the vines because I do like the vine effects and stuff. So now we have like a cluster system, which is still like a de facto tier system. And the way it works basically is that it tells you like, oh, you need to spend 2 more points to make this cluster available. So I spend those 2 points there, and then it grows out, and then this cluster becomes available. So again, we could tweak the numbers, like what investment is required to unlock the next tier, but right now it's like you have to unlock everything at that cluster before you can move on. And again, this is designed to solve the problem of preventing players from avoiding unlocking something because they may not want to dilute the item pool or whatever, and that's not the intended gameplay experience. So if you ultimately want to unlock all the characters in the game, there's no way to just like rush to the Lich and then just not put points in anything else. Now you have to, you know, you have to invest in all the other things. And again, I may change it so it's not like you need to spend all of the points on that. It may be like you need to unlock, you know, n-1 of each cluster, right? So you need to unlock 2 of these, and you need to unlock 4 of these or whatever. And I can control the pacing too by adding different clusters. So if I really wanted the Lich to be like the absolute last thing that you unlock, I could put it in its own little cluster by itself and stuff like that. So this also makes it really easy to rebalance the tree, because all I needed to do in the unlocks here is I just need to go in here and change the tier value. So I can go in there, change the tier value. I can then go to the unlock tree and click this place tiers button. This is all like procedurally placed in the editor. So when I click this button, it lays out the tree for me. So I actually don't need to do anything. I just configure the tiers of the unlocks here, click the button to update the tree, And that's that. So it becomes really easy to rebalance the tree, becomes really easy to add more items to the tree, especially like post-release. So yeah, I think it's gonna be good. But it still looks like kind of like a quasi tree, right? We still got dependencies. It's more of like a cluster oriented thing. And just to make the little clusters a little bit nicer, I just added these little orbs here, which will tell you about the cluster and how many points you need to unlock it. But also it's like a nice little pin, I guess you could say, for where all the vines connect to. So yeah, that's basically it. Hello, Christian. Welcome back. Emerson, good to see you. All right, so I've got a couple of things that I want to do. Block other keyboard input during a tooltip pin or card inspector. Make the screen dimmer absorb other inputs when present. Also need to address the ability to pan the camera. So I think this is probably a problem on controller as well. Block other keyboard input during tooltip pin. Yeah, so I'm gonna need to figure out how to do that. So let's take a look. Let's see, debug, test player cards. So the problem here is that if I pin something, it's not absorbing or consuming input. So I pin this and I can still move the map. I can still open the inventory. So those things are a problem. What I may want to do is what? I may be able to go to the tooltip pin component. And let's see, in here, set process input, here we go. So set process input on owner visibility changed. Okay. So in here, action pin tooltips, action click left. If EBT is not input event mouse motion. Actually, how do I want to do this? Tooltip pin component. How does screen dimmer work? Oh, of course this takes GUI input. If EBT is not, and EBT is not, see, I don't know if I can do this in the input level here. Maybe, what I want to do here, I don't have a way of like blocking all the inputs that I don't want to process. Let's see, set process input. Is there a way to disable input for a whole section of the tree? Let me actually look at that. Is there a way to disable input processing for a whole subtree Godot? process mode disabled. Disabling the top parent node will automatically disable the entire branch. So process mode disabled, huh? So is there a way to easily do that? Let's see. So if I look at process mode, disable. See, I don't want to do that though, because that's going to change. That's going to stop all the animations and stuff too. I mean, there's a tricky issue here. The input processing order. So I want the screen dimmer to accept mouse input when the tooltip is pinned, so I can click out of it. Click out of the pin. But that is in the GUI input, which happens after input. So if I were to try to filter out all of the irrelevant inputs here and consume them, I would never get the GUI input here, which would be a problem. But this is also not a great way of doing it, because I could basically say, well, we can let certain event types through. That may not be ideal either, though. So input event, like I could allow and EBT is not joypad motion or something. Is that right? Joystick motions, yeah. Get viewport dot set input as handled. I don't think that that's going to work. I think that's going to have many unintended consequences. No, yeah, see, that's not even going to work, because the whole point is I'm trying to disable map panning, especially when the controller is up. Let me plug in my controller here. Hello, Semhi. Maybe we lock the entire layer when input comes and wait for it to open another input. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to do... oh, this is just not working. Oh. If is pinned. Yeah, I mean, that's just not going to work anyway. Yeah, I'm trying not to do too much coordination about this, but I may have to. Input lock requested. What happens? Hold on a second. Can I do something clever here? Tooltip pin component. Generic tooltip. No, I don't think that's gonna work. I was thinking maybe I could put another parent. Yeah, I just don't know. LTA pin. So I can still move that in the background. So that's just like not working at all. Why is that? Wait, why is that even working? If is pinned is not at most motion. Is this just not working? Oh, this is unhandled input. Oh, unhandled input. Wait a minute. Can I just... What about the drawer UI though? Is this also unhandled input? No, that's just regular input. So that's not going to work. Wait, why wasn't it? I don't even know why it wasn't consuming inputs either. Here. Give viewport set input as handled. EVT is not mouse button. That should have been consuming everything. Why wasn't that working? Interesting. Adventures in input. Are you Godotting, son? I am. Hello, Heinz. Welcome. Falinir, hello. I learned a lot with your tutorial, so glad to actually catch you live. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Hello, Wuius. Welcome back. Light Tiramisu, good to see you. Why is that not consuming input? That's bizarre to me. That generic tooltip is literally at the bottom of the tree, which means that this tooltip... Oh, wait, that's not a generic tooltip. Oh. Oh, the map node tooltip is in the wrong spot. Oh, that's not good. Game map, map container, map node tooltip. Oh, the map node tooltip. No, but still, that should be handling input before the map input layer. So I'm still confused. Why is that the case? What happens if I just get rid of this? Let's just get rid of this. Let's just absorb every single input. That will confirm once and for all whether this input order is correct or not. There may not be a good way for me to do this. I might need to do some more coordination. Oh, this is just absorbing all input. Also, but I can still scroll the map. What is even going on here? What is even going on? Why can I scroll the map? Map input layer, unhandled input. State machine.update. This isn't doing any input checks, is it? Oh, it's getting the pan. Oh, it's not going through the input system to get the map panning. That's why it's worked. That's why it's not blocking. It's just reading the current input state directly rather than going through the input event system. So that's why I do need to do an is input blocked. All right. I guess I really don't have... I guess I don't really have a good way of doing this. I think... Tooltip pin component. I mean, I don't really like this idea, but what I may have to do is do like a game event that says that, okay, something has been pinned. Something has been pinned, and so the input needs to be locked. Okay, well, I guess we'll just have to do that. Emit signal pinned. Let's just see what this would look like. Public delegate void tooltip pinned event handler signal delegate void tooltip unpinned event handler emit tooltip pinned Okay. So my tooltip pin component, game events.emit tooltip pinned, game events.emit tooltip unpinned. And so what I'm going to have to do in the map input layer here, game events.instance.connect to tooltip pinned on tooltip pinned, connected on tooltip unpinned on tooltip unpinned. Let's implement those. Add input lock. Okay. That doesn't solve the inventory problem though. And it also doesn't solve the problem of, well, maybe, let me think about this. So project, let's do ignore unlocks off. So let's just try one thing at a time here. So I pin this, I can no longer move the map. I can still open the inventory. Escape doesn't do anything. So maybe it's just the inventory that I need to handle. I'm trying to think if there's any other ways I can modify the game state from within the pin by using a hotkey. I don't think so. And this may just be as simple as making the inventory key close the tooltip as well, and that would solve that problem. So I'm blocking the map input until I unpin, and then I can pan again. That should be the same for the controller as well. So if I do LT plus A to pin, I can no longer scroll that. That's good. Okay, what about the unlocks menu? Give me that skeleton. So I could still scroll this. That's another problem. You know what I'm tempted to do? I'm almost tempted to just pause the entire game. Like pause the scene tree. That would just fix everything. Otherwise, well, the scroll handler component, wait a minute. Can I do, let's see. Can I make this scroll handle component, can I make that blocking? Is blocking, yes. I don't think that's gonna work. Oh, it does work. Okay. So I can no longer scroll the background until I do that. Okay, maybe that's what I need. Okay, if I hit tab, it doesn't do anything. LT plus A unpin, I can go back to scrolling. Let's go to the unlock tree, inspect, pin. That all works. Close that. Okay, I think that's fine. So we just need to handle the inventory. I may just make that close the pin as well, because that will pretty much solve the problem, I think. So it's just this one that I really needed. Now the one thing that I guess I'm concerned about is, can the tooltip ever leave without being unpinned? I don't want to get into a state where I'm soft locked. What I can do just as a safety measure is I can do public override void exit tree. I can say if is pinned, we will do game events dot emit signal unpinned. No, emit tooltip unpinned. So I'll just do that as a safety measure. So that will handle the case that if for whatever reason the tooltip gets freed or it leaves the tree, which I don't think is ever happening, but we don't want to leave it in a soft lock state. So if we've added a lock with this emit tooltip pinned, we just want to remove the lock there. Hopefully that's fine. And then for the tooltip pin component, Is modifier action pressed? I need my input changes. Anyway, so I think this is wrong, this logic here. If is pinned, action pressed, game constants dot. Action open inventory. I actually don't know if that's correct either. Okay, it is. Unpin. Do an else if here, I guess. Okay. So that should hopefully fix that issue. So now when I try to open the inventory when I've got something pinned, it should just unpin it, and it didn't work. Whatever, we'll just do that. Let's see. Maybe my else statement is not correct. Hello, V. Welcome back. Sarami Dev. Welcome. Good to see you. I'm doing well. I think from player side, it's okay to be scroll and tooltip open. Well, I don't want things to move when they're not in context. That's not working either. Okay, interesting. How is the drawer UI? This is happening in input. Oh, is it the case that the drawer... I think the problem is that the map node tooltip is not in the right spot. I may have to move that. Okay, game map. Where is that? Map container. So yeah, this is the map node tooltip. The problem is this is not in the right spot in the tree. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the drawer UI is in a spot in the tree where it's going to intercept that event first. Yeah, the map is below this. I could just move the map to be first, but I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm probably relying on that ordering for other input. I mean, the only other thing to do would be to maybe put the map node tooltip here. And then instead of putting that in the map container like it is here, I'll move it somewhere else. So now I got to figure out how I want this map container to actually get the map node tooltip. Am I registering the map container? Register game map, yes. So let's do, this is a little bit wonky, but that's okay. Public map node tooltip. Map node tooltip. Okay, and then when we register the game map, I am going to need a reference to that map node tooltip. So let's do private map node tooltip. Map node tooltip, register game map. I don't usually like to do this kind of thing where I'm like holding references to external nodes, but I know that this tooltip is going to always exist, so it's not that big of a deal. So we'll build. Hello, Mozx the Goat. Mozx the Goat. How hard is it to make a game in Godot? Well, that's a good question. How hard is it to make a game in Godot? I don't think, I mean, the point of an engine is to make making a game easier than it otherwise would be. But games are still hard to make, just generally speaking. So yeah, I mean, I would say Godot makes making games easier than they otherwise would be, but making games is still very difficult. The engine can only do so much for you. The engine can only do so much for you. Okay. I had to change the map node tooltip layer because it was... Actually, had I edited that map node? It was on layer 4 before. Maybe I'll just change it back to layer 4. My layers are all messed up too. But let's just keep the layer the way it was. We'll try to make the minimal number of changes necessary to get this to work. I think that's probably the smart thing to do. So now if I press inventory, that is... that button just closes the tooltip. Okay. That makes sense to me. All right, the last thing that I want to do now is in the tooltip pin component, we want to listen for the screen dimmer click. So I have the screen dimmer here. Screen dimmer dot click plus equals on screen dimmer clicked. Again, we're just going to be safe here. On screen dimmer clicked. If not is pinned, return unpin. Good morning, Ninja Link. Great to see you. Always good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Teleport player mouse before open inventory. The mouse is not the problem. Blocking mouse input is very easy. You just put a control node in the background and then like, oh, nothing is clickable, right? The problem was different hotkeys that can do different things in the game. But I think I've addressed that now. So I can pin this, I can read this. If I click on the screen dimmer, it goes away. If I press tab, it goes away. If I press escape, it goes away. Now let's try it with the controller. Pin that. I can't make any moves to open. If I press the open inventory button on controller, it just goes away. Yeah, I think that feels fine. I can press back to exit the pin. I can press LT plus A to exit the pin. Oops. That's going to be something that I have to handle. Pressing unpin action. pinned on map node can. So I've got a different branch which, oops. Oh, did I put this all in the wrong spot? This is done. This one's done. Rebindable controls. This is the one that I wanted. I've got a different branch with some like input remapping stuff that I've been working through slowly. Trying to support input remapping that also supports input chords like Control, Alt, and R or LTRTA has been very difficult. And there's a bunch, like I just got to fix all these problems. That's going to be my afternoon project though. But anyway, I think that's done. Both of these are done. So let's just move those to done. This one to done. Okay. Block other input when tooltip pinned. Okay. Alrighty. Locked items are pinnable in unlock screen. We got to fix that. Whatever, it can go at the top. That's fine. Hello, Endless Calamity. I was thinking of buying your Survivors course. Is it still relevant for Godot 4.7? Hello, it's a little bit outdated, especially like the tile map stuff, but the general concepts are the same. Like it's not different enough where it's like you won't get any value out of it, but there are slight differences because, you know, that released 4.0 and it's 4.7 now. So yeah, it's a little bit outdated, but it's still useful. Do you have any course related to making an idler game? I don't. I do not. All right. We gotta prevent pinning, unlock. Oh, I gotta do something really quick. So the problem is if I go to the unlocks menu, I can pin these things, which is not good. Sorry, 1 second. I have to address something here. Okay. So, how are we going to make these not pinnable? Emit signal shown. How am I registering this tooltip handler? Oh, it's doing the hook after it shows the tooltip. Okay. So that should actually be easy because what I can do, register tooltip keywords. This is, that is a protected method. What I'll do here is I'll just do public void clear keywords. So in the unlock menu, locked tooltip hook. Clear keywords. All right, let's see what happens. If it's only slight differences, then I'll get it. I'm very new, but I like your style, so I'll get it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. And you can always, if it's just not working for you or you think it's too outdated or whatever, you are always free to refund it as well. So I would encourage you to do that if it's just not working for you for whatever reason. Okay, good. So none of these are pinnable. I can pin this one though. Cool. All right, that one's good. Nope, that's not right. Okay. Breaking the legs off Harvestman and then quitting and re-entering strips all abilities from the body. Let me see if that's an issue still. This was an issue that was brought up in the Discord. I'm pretty sure I fixed it, but I haven't yet tested. So let's just go ahead and do that. And we're going to want to ignore the save file off. All right, so we've got this. Oh, I got to transfer. Okay. Go back into the game. Hopefully this loads and correctly restores the body. If not, okay, it does. Good. So that is fixed. So I'm just going to delete this one because that was already fixed a while ago. Alrighty, combat log summary. I don't think there's really any other bugs that I want to address right now. Reevaluate menu unlock tutorial highlight and if how that state should be reset. Reset the flag after entering the tutorial. Okay, maybe we do this one. So I have a tutorial step that's... So I redid all the tutorial stuff, but then I have this tutorial step that's also... If I skip the menu... I forgot how to do this. Challenge factory. Healing in single run. So I grab this. Oops. Put this in my save file. Alchemortis.json. Completed challenges. There. So if I go into the game, I'm going to see a tutorial highlight, I think. Yeah. So the question is, like, when do I show this? I mean, this is fine the way it works here. I just need to figure out if I want to... So I need to persist that state so that after you get shown it the first time, it doesn't show up again. But I think what I'll do is if you manually enter the tutorial, I'll reset that flag so it shows again. And we have an error here. Is that reproducible? I'm sure it's going to be great. And like the person above me said, I'm sure you'll find success if you make an idler course since everyone is playing those games now. Yeah, I mean, truthfully, the goal is not to do courses anymore. Because I want to ultimately make my living making games. So we will see. I mean, I'm not opposed to making a course again in the future. It's just the courses were largely a means to an end. They were a way to get me some extra income so I could do my game development stuff. And if I need to do that again, I will. If I want to do that again, I will. But you know, I could have probably made a career out of just making courses. Like that could have been my full-time job if I had like produced more courses and then like updated the old courses and stuff, but that's just not what I want to do, you know? But we'll see. You know, I don't like to say something will never happen. Let's see if I can fix this bug. I don't know why this is... Oh. Oh, this is a problem. Yeah, this is not a good problem. I was removing the wrong child. That is actually something that I'm going to want to push a fix for. I guess it's not that big of a deal right now, but... yeah. Oops. Fix incorrect. Child removal. Okay. I don't need to fix that now. I completely forgot what I was working on. Oh, the tutorial stuff. Right, okay. So let me see how that's being applied. Tutorial completed states. I guess I can keep this. So what I want to do is go to my options menu first. We're going to remove this tutorials button because this doesn't make sense anymore. So we're going to get rid of that. Oh, and that breaks everything. Oh, it throws off the ordering. Actually, we'll keep that one the way it is. Let's just add a random control node here. This high resolution needs to be at end. This one, is that the way I'm doing it? Oh, I guess not. I want this layout container sizing to be shrink end, and this container sizing to be shrink begin. Okay. I might move, maybe I'll move the screen shake one over as well. Yeah. This is a little bit annoying, bear with me. Okay, so we removed the tutorials option. Wait, no, I want vsync to be... Wait a minute. Why is this so hard? Okay. Full screen vsync, screen shake, readable font, high resolution. And these ones, actually, I want to flip these ones. Okay. Goodness gracious. Get rid of the tutorial checkbox. That's not a thing anymore. On tutorial changed. So is tutorial, we got to get rid of all the tutorial enabled stuff. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Is tutorial enabled goes away. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Tutorial completed states, options.tutorial completed states. Set and save tutorial completed states. Is menu tutorial completed? Is menu to like I don't want this either. This goes away as well. Okay. Get rid of all this. Okay, set and save. Is this even being used anymore? Okay. So what I want to do is when I enter the tutorial run for the first time, I want to remove the menu completed states, I think. Okay. Game's looking so good. I'm excited to play the full release when it comes out. Thank you, 99 Crusader. Appreciate that. Can you do a video of how you manage such a large code base and version control it? Well, I don't really know what I would put in such a video. I think the trick to managing a large code base is that it's not really that you're managing the whole thing at once. It's that you're managing whatever system you need to be working in at the time, right? So right now I'm trying to change some tutorial state stuff. I don't need to worry about like how the drag and drop system works for cards or what the shop generation, algorithm looks like. Those are completely isolated states that have nothing to do with what I'm working on, right? So it's not like, yes, it's a single project, but not really, right? The single project has a bunch of little like subsystems, and managing the large code base is just about, first of all, making sure that you have like a proper delineation between all your game systems so that like there's very clear, you know, there's very clear division of responsibilities. And then when you go to where you need to change something, if that separation of concerns is very clean or clean enough, then it becomes very easy to just go to the system that you know you need to change and not worry about everything else, right? So maybe that's worth a video, like how do you do proper systems design and like separation of concerns and everything. But yeah, I mean, the code base is huge and it looks daunting, but for any given task, I'm really only looking at maybe a handful of files at most. And so it becomes a lot easier to manage complex systems when that complex system is the result of many separate, smaller subsystems. So it's not like, you know, I'm not holding the entirety of the code base in my head at any given time. I'm just like only focused on like the system that I know I need to change. Alchemortis is shaping out to be great. Thank you. Screen shake in the middle, no? No. No. Okay. I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will continue on with this. So yeah, I'll BRB in 3 minutes, and we'll continue on. Okay, I'm back. When you have to worry about other systems when you make a change, it's time to refactor. Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. I mean, you know, the reality of any software development is like, you can't design it perfectly from the start, right? And so there are going to be places where you're like, wait, like, why am I having to do all this work just to implement this thing? And then maybe it's time to do some abstraction or some, you know, like you said, refactoring. But yeah, I mean, there's like, you know, I think I'm up to like 75,000 lines of code in this project. And it's like, you know, probably tens of thousands of those lines of code are code that I haven't even touched or read in months, right? It's like, it's because those things were built, they're solid, they work, and they're properly isolated to the point where like, I don't ever need to think about them when I'm doing this other feature development stuff, right? I mean, the whole point of me spending as much time as I did on my ability system is to ultimately get to the end state where, you know, for the skeleton dragon, or let's just do the skeleton rogue, like I can just define the rogue's abilities in this one class and then that's it, right? I don't need to touch anything else usually, unless I'm trying to do something new, in which case I'll have to extend the ability system. But yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? Is like, you want to be able to make, you want to be in a situation where you just need to make the minimal number of changes in like one system to implement a new feature or whatever you want. That is an ideal, of course, but okay, so when we enter a tutorial run, what I want to do let me see where this is used. Set request menu context. Oh. How do I want to handle this? Maybe I should have kept the is menu tutorial completed. Let's just put that stuff back. I don't want the is tutorial enabled, but I definitely want this is menu tutorial completed. Keep that. Set and save tutorial completed states. Yeah, we'll put this back. Got a little bit too trigger happy. Okay, main menu. Tutorial guide dot destroy. Oh, that's fine. Okay, I think that's correct. And then in the tutorial guide, basically what I want to do is for menu, ordered menu states contain set and save tutorial completed states. Okay. If not is for menu, we're gonna do options utils, set and save tutorial completed states, false. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm saying, if the player manually enters the tutorial from the menu and does a tutorial run, I'm also going to clear the tutorial menu states. So what that means is that I will get that unlock highlight again, or I should anyway. Does not contain a definition for is tutorial enabled. I think I'll just move this out. In the main menu, if game debug.is suppress tutorial enabled, or that. Okay, so I have an unlock point available. This is the trigger for the tutorial. It's not showing up though, and the reason why it's not showing up is because I already have completed that state. So if I go to my alchemortis.json, tutorial, oh wait, no, options. I'm saving it in options, right? So I've got the unlock state completed, and it says, is menu tutorial completed true here? Okay, now I'm just gonna go to my settings, and I'm just gonna click save. Just make sure that oh, see, it cleared the is menu tutorial completed. I'm glad I tested that. So menu tutorial completed. Okay, so I'm glad I tested that. So now if I go in, it should detect that it's not completed, or it'll do something. It's not going to show that because it already has that state completed, but is it going to save? Right, okay, so is menu tutorial completed true? Go to the settings, just click save. That's still true, okay. But now if I go into the tutorial, it has cleared that state. So now if I go back to the menu, it's going to show those menu tutorials again, which there's only one. So I think that's fine. If I ever do add more like menu tutorials, maybe I'll add like a tutorial option or clear tutorials or whatever back here. But I figure if the player goes into the tutorial manually, that should just trigger a reset of like all of the tutorial states. We do that, okay, and then it should be true, true, okay. Now if I close the game and I re-enter, it should be fine. Okay. There we go. Okay. Look at that, we're down to 6 items in the to-do list. Well, I don't really feel like doing any of these things. I mean, maybe translation support. No, not that. Tagline for map events. This is still something that I'm a little bit unsure about, but we might as well experiment with that a little bit. Event configuration resource. So what I'm going to do, private string description. Wait, why is this private? Why is it even like that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Alrighty. I might just do a bulk change of that, honestly. Kind of bothers me. Event configuration. Resources, data, event configuration. So if I do this, let's do resources, data, event configuration, name equals. So I'm going to change this. This is just going to be name. And then I'm just going to, essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a replace. Yeah, I think that's what I can do. So we're going to replace that with lowercase name equals. The reason I have to do this is because I think the casing is necessary. So if I change this from uppercase name to lowercase name, that would just wipe out all the names that I have configured. So if I do this and I replace all, so I replace all the text and the resources, and then I rebuild, what should happen is that should be retained now. Did that build already? Yeah, so look, my name has been kept now. So you have to be really careful about that. I think that's true of GDScript as well. If you change the property name, obviously if you change it to something completely different, then it's just going to lose that data. But even if you're just changing the casing, what you might want to do first is do a find and replace in your, like in the actual resource file, so that the property name is equivalent to the name that you're going to change it to, and then you change the name. And then you won't lose any data. That's one of the nice things about Godot. That's really nice about Godot actually, is that all the files are text-based. So in a pinch or in certain situations, you can just go in and edit the text files yourself. And so that can be really useful. But anyway, so we've got the base name. I'm going to need a localization, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet because I don't want to do that. Let's just do get description, return description. So I don't know, let's just try this. Allows you to choose one of 3 artifacts. I just supplies new items. Just put a couple of things in here. Something like that. Combat. See, the thing I'm not super convinced by with this approach is a lot of these names are pretty like straightforward. Increase board size, like, well, obviously, right? Max health increase, obviously, like why do I need a description for this? But you know, we're just gonna try it. We're gonna see. So map node tooltip. So here, this is the debug label. We don't care about that. I'm going to hide that. This region's boss. Is boss occupied label used? Oh, it is. Well, anyway, that's fine. We're just going to put another label here. Description label. Okay. All right, we're gonna grab that description label. Map node event resource dot localized name. Description label. Map node event resource dot get description. We'll just see what that looks like. Hello, Baratok. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate that. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, not a number. Good to see you. 3K Lux. Welcome. It's going well. How are you doing? Ace Stare. Hello, Rin. Welcome. If you're new to the stream, I very often get locked in and I don't follow up on the chat for a while. Some people are even saying that there are generational levels of locked in here. Although I am a chopped unk, I still have, I don't even know. I don't even know. The jig is up. What am I doing? I want to turn off or turn on ignore save file. There we go. Like a 5-minute delay. No, I don't have a 5-minute delay. Well, from being locked in, yes, but I don't think the stream delay is actually that big. I think the stream delay is like a handful of seconds. What is a chopped unk? I wish I knew. I wish I knew. You might be unk, but not chopped. Well, thank you, Kimitium. That's very appreciated. You manually trigger the chat pop-ups? I do, yes. It's an app called Social Stream Ninja. So I like that because, you know, when I do get locked in, the chat tends to scroll by, but then I want to go and respond to the chats. And so putting the chat that I'm responding to on screen so that all the viewers have context as to what I'm talking about, I think is a nice experience. I don't know if I really want... I mean, do we like that description line there? Enchant allows you to enchant an item. The rate of my message was really late. Might be your overlay. I got stuck. I've discovered your videos after playing your last year's GMTK entry. Oh, well, thank you. I forgot what was the entry for last year. Oh, Retro Mortis, right. Retro Mortis. You know what's actually my favorite part of Retro Mortis is the little musketeer guys. Like, I liked those musketeer guys so much. Just the sound of their guns, the little poof of smoke. That I was like, man, it would be actually kind of fun to make a game where, like, you've got these little guys running around on screen and they're just having musket battles. Just, I don't know, there's something so satisfying about, like, just the whole idea of, like, a slow-firing musket weapon with a big plume of smoke. We yearn for the 18th century battlefields, I guess. Add a hint in the description as what the enchanter health increase might give. I don't want to do that for enchant. Maybe health would be a good one. I don't think I like this. I don't think I like this. I do want to keep that rename though. I'm going to need to resave all of these. Oh, build. Still has a description. Did I not save that one? Why do you still have the description? Wait a minute. Okay, I guess I have to manually save it. I don't think I did more than that, right? Okay, that's fine. Let's rebuild the translations too, just to make sure nothing changed. Okay. Well, minor variable rename. Hello, Beaker Spank. Welcome. Well, what else should we do? Maybe I'll still do something like that, but I don't know. I don't like the way that looks. Also, I feel like a lot of the nodes are like self-explanatory. I could just rename these potentially. Make them all consistent at least. Do a flip. Okay, I don't know what this is. Prefer YouTube or Twitch for streaming, by the way. I know you do both concurrently, but curious. Am I allowed to talk smack against the platforms I'm streaming on? I don't know. I don't think Twitch is a great experience, to be honest. Every time I go to Twitch, I feel completely lost and overwhelmed. But that's okay. I don't really watch live streams anyway. So they don't care. If you can't do a flip, can you maybe make your cats do a flip? They have done flips before, that is true. I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know. If you like Twitch, that's fine. It's obviously not a big deal. I think probably the discoverability of streams is better on Twitch versus YouTube. Like, if streaming is going to be your primary method of, like, growing an audience, then probably Twitch is the way to go. But, like, I already had a bunch of subscribers, and I have a bunch of subscribers on YouTube, and so I started just streaming on YouTube. Because I figured, well, my audience is already there, so might as well just do that. But then, enough people came in and said, hey, it would be nice if you streamed on Twitch too, and so I did that. Yeah, it's just, it's good for me to stream to, multiple platforms, because then people can just, the cliche term is I can meet people where they're at, right? So whatever platform you prefer to use, I can be right there and you can listen to me. You can have me going on in the background and behold the infinite wisdom that I have to impart upon the masses. But I'm kidding, by the way. I'm not actually that conceited. Anyway, add translation support. I don't really, let's just do some new content. Do I have any enchant ideas? Cause reagents to be applied twice, debuff, removal enchant, remove X stacks of a random debuff. Did we have other enchant suggestions in the Discord? I feel like the enchantments need to be beefed up. I definitely need more legendary abilities. I need more corrupted abilities. I haven't done an enchant in a while, though. I kind of want to do that. Let me just search for enchant in the suggestions channel. I would be interested in... I think it would be fun to have enchantments that just add like random abilities that you might need. Enchant Factory. Hello, Clickertail, welcome. You're permanently in a live stream. Jelly feels overcrowded and clustered and difficult to navigate on mobile. I mean, I don't use my phone for anything. Like, if we're gonna talk about experiences that I don't like, I cannot stand doing anything on my phone. Like, I don't know what it is. I've never liked it. It feels so cramped. It feels so hard to like see what I need to do. Typing has never been a good experience. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. But you are indeed the Godot goat. Well, thank you. The Godot. Is it true that you worked at Blizzard for 7 years? Actually, I worked at Blizzard for 35 years. I was a co-founder back when Blizzard was called Snowstorm before it got renamed to Blizzard. Yeah, so. What kind of enchant do I want to do? I'm very thankful you chose to stream on YouTube. Its impopularity as a streaming service is the best thing about it. Oh, Pacheco Dev is the Godot. Infinite wisdom. Using Twitch on mobile is like eating from a lunchbox. I don't know what that means, but it sounds funny. Twitch also has a ton of cringe favoritism and bias, especially on the political side of things. Yeah, I don't know anything about like Twitch and how the platforms operate. I'm sure they are. Like, I mean, it would just be in a platform's interest to like pump certain creators or, for viewership reasons. That makes sense. I mean, YouTube does that, but with like videos, right? Like, I'm sure YouTube has some kind of favoritism for certain channels. Because that would just be a smart business decision, right? It's cramped and unwieldy. Oh, gotcha. I'm making a projectile. Would it be better to make the sprite a reference resource or a child node? Well, I don't know what you mean by reference resource. So ultimately, there has to be something that draws your texture to the screen for the projectile. You can do that obviously with a sprite 2D, assuming you're working at 2D because you referenced the sprite. So it has to get on the screen somehow, and the approach that you take will depend on like how many projectiles you're going to need. So if you look at my game Gunforged, I did everything with nodes in that game. So all the projectiles are nodes, all the enemies are just a series of nodes. I'm just using the area 2D collisions, all that stuff. But there will come a point, like if you're building a bullet hell, where you would need to take a different approach. And I think the approach in that case is usually to do more of like an ECS system, where you store all of the bullet data in a list that you iterate over every frame to like move the bullets. So you're basically manipulating the data every frame in one big contiguous list. And then to draw all the bullet sprites, what typically happens is people will use like a multi-mesh instance 2D so that they can draw the same bullet sprite multiple times with a single draw call. And of course, if you have bullets with different sprites, you would need to layer on multiple, multi-mesh instance 2D. I think that's what it's called. I think I'm calling it correctly. Multi-mesh instance. Yeah, multi-mesh instance 2D. So there comes a point where like it becomes really inefficient. Like if you've got like 1,000 bullets on the screen, having Godot call a process method on the node tree for each of those bullets, and all of those bullet transforms having to be manipulated, it adds up very quickly, and you'll get bogged down. So yeah, I mean those are the two most popular approaches for doing bullets in games. And again, it depends on how many bullets you're going to have. I would say if you're going to have like less than 100 or 50, probably like closer to 100. If you're going to have less than 100 bullets on screen at a time, it's probably okay just to implement them as nodes. But if you're going to get into the multiple hundreds of bullets on screen at a time, you'll probably have to take a more data-oriented approach to that rather than leveraging the scene tree. But I'm not speaking from experience. I'm just speaking about based on what I've learned, because I think my next game, I'm probably going to be using some kind of ECS system for that, because I want to support like 1,000+ entities on the screen at once. And I know for a fact that that's not going to be doable with the scene tree. So I've been doing some light research on like how I might accomplish that. And those are the things that I've learned. Thoughts on seeing C# web export in 4.x before the heat death of the universe? Yeah, I mean, the problem is it's not really up to Godot, right? It's up to Microsoft. My understanding is that there's something missing on the .NET side of things to allow web exports to happen. And, you know, I'm sure there's a way that Godot could hack together a way for web exports that kind of works, but I also understand the position of Godot. Like, you don't want to be like supporting just experimental features that are not thoroughly supported and not well tested. So my understanding is that it's not really Godot's problem at the moment, it's Microsoft's problem. But that's all I know about that. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Like, I guess it's not a super high priority for Microsoft, whatever is going on, because otherwise we probably would have had it by now. But taking notes, trying to learn. Well, that's good. Wouldn't that require the GD extension C++ since GDScript doesn't do dot? Or do you mean, I don't know what dot is. Or do you mean universal node managing iterating all projectiles? Yeah, it would be like one node that has a process method, and then that node has a list of all of your projectile data, and your projectile data would just be like position, like a radius for collision checks, right? Like, here's the radius. There's like several ways to do it. Like, you can use the physics server directly to detect collisions. So you might register like a physics server circular area without having a node. Like, the typical way you do that is you'd set up an area 2D and then add, you know, like your collision shape to that. But all the area 2D is doing under the hood is it's registering itself with the physics server. So the area 2D is just an editor-friendly way of telling the physics server what collisions you want to have in your game, or what collision pairs you want to have in your game. But the whole point is you want to bypass the scene tree if you have like lots of entities that need to be updated every frame. You collapse that into just an array that is a series of data entries with one data entry representing a bullet. And so in just one loop, you iterate over all of those, update them all at the same time, and then you trigger, you know, those updates will propagate out to like the multi-mesh instance 2D or the rendering server or the physics server or whatever. So yeah, your bullets just become purely data representations, and then you use the more performant ways of like detecting their collisions and drawing them to the screen. Because the multi-mesh instance, the reason why people use that is because, again, it collapses drawing multiple things on screen to a single draw call, when if you were to do it the other way, it could be hundreds of draw calls. But again, I'm not super well versed in that. It's just like, there's actually let me see if I can find it. I bookmarked a blog post on how somebody approached doing like a bullet hell game. I wonder if I can find that and link it. Let's see. Can I search my bookmarks? Yeah, here we go. Copy. Can I copy this? Or just open this up, I guess. How to draw metric ton of bullets in Godot. So this was a couple years ago. I think this was back in the Godot 3 days, but I'll put this in the chat. I guess that chat is only on YouTube. Can I put it in Twitch as well? There we go. So this is a great blog post. Basically exactly this problem of drawing lots of bullets on screen. I think it's a little bit outdated because, again, it was on Godot 3, but So you see here what they're doing is they have a bullet spawner that has an array of all their bullet data. And that bullet data, you know, it corresponds to shapes in the physics server. But then also they have a section where they're drawing it as well. Oh, did I skip the drawing section? So they're actually using the custom drawing functions to draw the bullets. But anyway, hopefully that helps. I've seen Cakes getting thousands of enemies on screen using custom engine built on WebGPU by doing some weird wizardry where all the enemies exist on the GPU as a shader or something. Interesting. Microslop. Do you think it's possible in Godot? Yeah, compute shaders are possible. Again, I'm not familiar with that, but I think it sounds like that's kind of like a compute shader maybe. Data-oriented design. Oh, gotcha. GDScript can do arrays too, yes. You're the same person I've seen a bunch on YouTube. Hello, Deidre Wrathful. Good to see you. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. Michael Games has a video on object pool with 30,000 bullets. Interesting. Are those bullets still Are those still nodes though, or? Senior, stop using nodes for everything. Godot video a few times. Okay, awesome. YouTube dev too. Okay. I think about this. We're gonna do a new enchant, right? Man, I need to sit down and like brainstorm. Well, there's a corrupted idea we can do, which is kind of the same thing. Let's add that. Alchemy. Corrupted abilities. So we're going to make a corrupted ability that is not enchantable. Should be relatively easy. Okay, then we got to go to the enchant container. Can add enchant to card. This item cannot receive more enchantments. I guess I can keep that message. Enchant count is enchantable is equal to base card dot has tag. Oh. Has ability with tag. Return is enchantable. All right, let's give it a shot. Oops. Add item. No, I want to do add enchant. No, add corrupted ability. Okay, I forgot to build the translations. That's okay. That seems to work. Let's build the translations. This item cannot be enchanted. Just go ahead and make sure that works again. Okay, go to the enchant. This item cannot receive more enchantments. Okay, and then if I put this one here, that should work. Cool. All right, we have a new corrupted ability. That was easy. All right, what other kind of enchants do we want to do? Node scenes, interesting. What is your VS Code theme? It's Dracula. Convert damage to shield. I mean, we could always do more conversion stuff. Do I want to create a... Like, do I want to create a programmatic way of just creating all the different pairs for this? Maybe I'll do that. Paralysis duration. Swarm enchant. What does this one do? Oh, just swarm damage. I mean, we could just do, like, we could extend this. All right, we could do fire applied, increased by whatever. Not corruptible enchant. We could do an enchant that's like on combat start. Maybe we'll do something like that. Fire on combat start. I need to also... Okay. So for the demo build, I'm creating a subset of these things. So these are the only enchants that you can get in the demo, which I think makes sense. Can echo false. Let me think about this. So abilities on combat start. Fire amount. Apply 0 keywords.fire on combat start. Enchant ID. Oh. So I created this ability on combat start, little helper method. So the way that I get abilities to fire on combat start is a little convoluted. That's why I created this helper for it. But basically, I have to listen for combat start, add the abilities to the rerun execution list, but then I need to flip a flag to make sure that it doesn't run again. So I basically have to execute all these abilities. So I have to wrap the abilities that I want to execute from this abilities array in a conditional ability decorator. That returns that conditional ability decorator. Then it needs to execute this mark cannot execute, so it can't execute, which is the condition used in the conditional ability decorator. But then when combat ends, it has to flip that flag back to true. So I was doing this in a couple places in the code, but I just created abilities in combat start, which just returns all the abilities I need. And then I can just do this. So I can just say, here's the abilities I want to do on combat start. It does all the configuration necessary to make that work, and that makes it a lot easier. We don't have a scaling function. And then this keyword doesn't need to be there. And I think that's basically it. So now I should be able to test that out. I still want to be able to override enchantments when something has it already. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. The problem is I don't know how to do that in a user-friendly way, because if you have 3 enchantments on an item and that's your max, that's your cap, which enchant gets replaced when you go to replace one, right? Do I just choose a random one? Good morning. It's going well, Necromantic. How are you doing? Game looks pretty solid. I played it for 8 hours. What do you think? It needs to be a complete game. I think the experience is pretty complete already. First of all, thank you for playing. I appreciate that. The remaining things to do are just like quality of life things. The next biggest thing that I have on my plate that's in progress right now is the key rebinding. So being able to allow players to like remap their inputs. I think that's almost done. It's just really convoluted and hard to get to work. And then a bunch of quality of life fixes, bug fixes, and then just a lot more content. That's basically the only things I have on my plate. I am here accompanied by my procrastination. The oldest? See, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I have a concept of like what the oldest ability is. Like if it would have to be maybe the first element in the enchant array. But I still need some kind of UX to tell the player, like when they click the button, oh, it's going to replace an enchant. So there's like a lot of UX stuff that has to happen to make that clear what's happening. Good. Remaining thing, become a millionaire. Well, we'll see. I doubt that, but I'm not going to complain, obviously, if that happens. I don't think that's going to happen. I just want to make enough money to do this for another couple years. That's all I want. That's all I want. Alchemortis will be a success if I can fund myself for another 2 years. Balancing school and internship have been interesting, but I get to start my next project soon. More traditional machine learning with a little natural language processing on top. That sounds very interesting. Apply 10 fire on combat start. Let's see if it works. There we go. New enchantment added. Hello, Arion. Welcome back. Good to see you. I mean, we can try the enchantment replace stuff. Let's see if I can think about it. I've skipped so many enchant events because I didn't want to waste the spot. Would it be simpler to have it if you're capped out on enchants? Would it be simpler to just have it clear all of the enchantments so you could start over? Like, this would be an easy thing to do if, like, items could only have one enchantment, but of course there are ways to get your enchantment cap up, right? Ah. You know what I think the easiest thing to do would be? Just replace a random one. Just make it a little bit of a gamble moment. Because that will work, because obviously if you can only have one enchant, then you know which one is going to be replaced. But if you've got 3 enchants on an item, and you want to keep 2 of them, now you've got to think, like, do I want to gamble or not, right? I do want to do a reagent that will clear enchants off of an item, for sure. So yeah, that's the other thing, is like, do I want to allow the enchant event to remove enchantments or replace enchantments, or do I want to just accomplish that same thing through a reagent that you have to find and hold on to for a little bit? Maybe I'll do that first. Maybe I'll do the reagent first and see how that works. And then if I still feel like in my playtesting that it would be nice to have the enchant replacement, I can add that. But I don't want to add the enchant replacement first and then add a reagent that removes the enchants. And then it's like, oh, well, now it's way too easy to manipulate your enchantments, right? Because I kind of do like the idea of the enchantments being like a semi-permanent kind of thing, where it's like, this item is enchanted, you already made your decision, there's very little you could do about it, right? Like, it's like it's a moment of commitment, kind of. The other thing we could do with the reagent is we could... Oh, the reagent idea I had is it's a reagent that you could put into the enchanting board, and then it would receive the enchantment from the enchanting board, and then it would be able to apply that enchantment to an item. I suppose that doesn't really eliminate the possibility of having a reagent that could also remove enchants, right? Overriding an enchant is giving up full movement choice. The more you do it, the less spaces you actually used. Right, that's true. I want to see what this... Let's see what happens here. I do want to do that reagent. I think I have it written down somewhere. Yeah, here. So this is not quite what we're talking about, but I remembered that I wanted to do this, so let's do it. Now I got to figure out what the theme of the reagent is going to be. All right, tell you what, give me a quick 3-minute break. I'll come back and we'll start work on this reagent. And then, like I said, if I need to add a reagent that can also like remove enchantments, or we can make this reagent. I mean, this reagent could be dual purpose. It could receive enchantments and then also overwrite the enchantments of an item with its current enchantments. And so that means if you use it when it has no enchantments on it, it just clears the enchantments. But if you put enchantments on it, it places those enchantments on the item it affects. So it can serve both purposes actually at the same time. I actually like that idea a lot, because then players will be rewarded for cleverly realizing that they can just apply that with no enchantments to an item to clear an item's enchantments. Anything is better than nothing, as my parents would say. Yeah, let's do that. I'm liking this reagent more and more the more I think about it. So, BRB. Okay, I'm back. Sounds pretty amazing, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Now, the tough part is, what is the theme of this reagent going to be? How big is it going to be? I feel like it's going to be a pretty powerful reagent. So the interesting thing about this game is that there's a number of non-obvious ways to balance the power of things, right? Of course, I could tweak the numbers, I can add more abilities, I can remove abilities, I can change the cooldown, change the crit chance and everything, but a non-obvious way of controlling the power of items is to change what size they are, right? So a 1-by-1 item can be very, very powerful depending on what its ability is, because it takes up very little space, right? A 1-by-1 reagent also enables you to, for example, make big changes to bigger items because you have a limited space in your alchemy board. So the way that I can control the power of like powerful reagents is I can actually make them larger, because that reduces the number of items that they can be used with, right? So the question is this reagent going to be so powerful that a 1x1 would just make it like super OP guaranteed to take? Or is the fact that you need to invest in it a little bit and go to like enchantments to actually stack up enchants, so you have to hold on to it for a while? It may not be immediately useful because maybe you don't even have any items that are enchanted, so it's like, you know. So maybe it can be 1x1, even though it's going to be powerful, since it requires you to hold on to it and invest in it a little bit. Maybe making it a 1x1 is okay. Stone tablet turns into enchant stone tablet. Oh, okay. Still vote for an ox bazaar reagent. I kind of like the stone tablet idea. Why don't we do that? Get our cuneiform on, right? I don't even know if I want to draw this right now, to be honest. I might just give it some placeholder art to start. Because I'm more interested in actually implementing the thing right now. Stone tablet. This needs to be a reagent. One by one. We'll add the flavor text later. Let me also write this down. Oh no, I've got it here. All right, well. So I'm going to introduce a new tag. So these tags are basically just empty interfaces that give me some extra data if I want to override some default functionality. So I'm adding an iEnchantable here because reagents are typically not enchantable. I don't believe, anyway. Let me think. Enchant container. Oh, did I not make reagents not enchantable? Oh, I didn't. Oh. Reagents are still enchantable, huh? I'm going to remove that. Okay, so we've got a couple of things to fix. I feel like that's been something that I've been wanting to fix for a while, and I just never got around to it for some reason. Is enchantable. Not base card dot has tag dot reagent, or base card dot has ability with tag. I guess that doesn't need to be in parentheses. So that means I need to edit this as well. These are not even translated either. Okay, well, it's a good thing that I'm doing this. It has enchant slots remaining. Not is reagent and not is unenchantable. Is that right? Okay, so if is reagent, I'm gonna need to do all these things. Translation string, reagents are not enchantable. Group, translation groups, dot announcements, announcement, enchant, validation, reagent. This item is not enchantable. Announcement, enchant, validation. Enchantable. Cannot receive more enchants. Okay. So if is reagent, return announcement, validation reagent, or no. Reason equals announcement, validation reagent. Else if is unenchantable. Not enchantable. Else if not has reason is equal to announcement max enchants. Return can enchant reason. This is gone. Oh, I got to translate these ones too. Item required. Add an item to the board. Only one item can be enchanted. Oops. announcement validation, one item. Okay. Alrighty. I'm gonna have to restructure this. If it's not equal to 1, return text is equal to cards on board length. This would be announcement item required. Announcement validation, one item. Okay, we get rid of this. Okay. Var can enchant invalid reason is equal to can add enchant to card, cards on board 0. Well, I actually don't need that because invalid clicked is already going to be correct. So I'm just going to do this. So that should work, and then I just got to fix this one. Var can enchant discard is equal to can add enchant to card. I think I did that all correctly. We'll have to thoroughly test this, I suppose. But anyway, this is enchantable stone tablet. Description template, this item can receive enchantments. And this should be a new non-combat composed ability. Okay. Let's build. The reagent should be somehow related to water belly. Some crazy lore. Oh, maybe. Reagents should be enchantable. No. What a hit to the reagent only run. I'm off. Have a great one. Sounds good. I mean, I'm open to it, I guess. Should we keep reagents as enchantable? I don't think so, because reagents aren't upgradable either. I think that would be an inconsistency. Project settings. Stone tablet. Boom. All right, let's see what happens. Did I not build? Okay, let me just make sure that this is all working. So if I do this and I do that, only one item can be enchanted. Add an item to the enchant board. Reagents are not enchantable. This item can receive enchantments. We might as well make that innate. But I should be able to do this. Yeah, that'll work, right? Then the alchemy ability just needs to be introduced, which will transfer the enchantments over. You don't have to build to see changes. Do you have a hot reload or something? No, I do have to build. Yeah, I was building. Okay. So we've got that. So now we just need to do the alchemy ability. Firstly, let me make sure that this can't receive more. This item cannot receive more enchants. Awesome. And I'm realizing that this language is inconsistent. Just make it consistent. Build. Build the translations, run the game. I'm also going to mark this as in development. Hello, Yito, welcome. Good to see you. Okay, initial work on stone tablet. Okay. Now we need to do the alchemy ability. Actually, you know what? I think I'll end the stream there. I'm getting very hungry, so I'm going to go eat lunch, but that's a good stopping point. I'm going to implement that maybe on tomorrow's stream, maybe this afternoon if I have time, but my afternoon project is to do the input remapping stuff or finish that hopefully. So anyway, I'm going to end the stream there, but thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. If you're interested, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. The demo will be coming out very shortly. Yeah, sorry, Yato. Been streaming for almost 2.5 hours though, so it's lunchtime for me. But yeah, add Alchemortis to your wishlist if you're interested. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler. You can also support the game on Patreon. Join the Discord. All that stuff is linked below. Thank you for your support, everyone. I appreciate it. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. And if I stream later, I'll put an announcement in the Discord. Otherwise, have a good day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, bye-bye.